Okay, we are live right now. Okay. Let's start the stream a lot, start the stream a lot earlier. Here. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I've been starting the streams a lot, like, later, guys. This stream, I know it's not that early, but it's, earlier than some of the other times I started it, and I'm gonna try to start it, up earlier than this also in the future. Okay, let me just, look at the chat here. Okay, hello, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a great Friday. It's my favorite day of the week. Okay. A moment here. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hope everyone's having a great day. How are you? Can you guys all hear me? Do I sound fine? Hope everyone's having a great day.
Yep. Can I get an invite though?
Sure. Who am I inviting?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, see if you can just join me, because I'm appearing online. Because...
Yeah, I don't think I can join you since you're on PS5.
I'm sending you a friend request.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, let me get that.
What was that? I know you're there.
Alright, I added you.
Damn it, I'm too old for hide and seek.
Okay, what did you read that?
Nope. Hey, we got him!
Aw, damn. Okay, he heard me.
You ain't gonna see it.
Okay, there we go. Probably more of them gonna be coming in. Got the remaining enemies. Where are they? Hope it hasn't glitched out. Yeah, I like that new game Crime Boss. I think it looks cool. I think the concept behind it looks cool. But I definitely want to, I definitely do want to, yeah, I definitely do want to play it, give it a chance. The most gruesome death in GTA 5, Molly's death. Bro, can you play Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War? I did do a playthrough of that game. Check out my my playlist. I did do a playthrough of that one. Yeah, I think that this is mission glitched. Yeah, there's no enemies coming in. What's the best gun for shooting other players? Probably for close range, it would probably be semi-automatic shotgun. For a longer range, it would be the Lancaster, because it's just fast fire rate and extreme accuracy.
I'm in, just invite me to the posse.
Okay, well, we're just, oh, did the mission just, okay, the mission ended now. Okay. Okay, hang on a second here. Oh, posse's open. Hey, GB. Let me see here. Oh, I gotta make some room in the posse. Hold on a second. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Eddie. Thanks, man. Oh yeah, this is the Sean jacket that I have. It's just on my chair because I was just recording Saboteur. Yeah, but I love Saboteur. Such a great game. But yeah, this month I'm gonna be so busy this month. There's gonna be I got a lot of work to do this month. Finishing up the playthroughs, but also the you know, getting the DLCs done on GTA, getting some guides out on that.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hello, Michael.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Hey, bro, I saw in the replay of you GTA Online video about your rant on how broken GTA Online PvP is, and I heavily disagree with you as a PvP player. Why don't you think that, why do you think that, that GTA PvP isn't broken? I'm curious on that.
PvP in that game is broken.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, 1 second here. Thank you, Matthew, thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. Thanks, man. Thoughts on social Darwinism? Well, it's a racist ideology that was pushed by big business during the Industrial Revolution to try to justify their ill treatment of the workers and also of the of just basically trying to monopolize everything and running all the small businesses out. The Nazis had also used social Darwinism, so very racist and evil ideology. Thank you, Matthew, again for the super chat.
Social Darwinism was one of the base pillars for the Nuremberg laws.
Yes, it was. The Nazis had used it, but it was also, social Darwinism was also used by the big businesses in America during the Industrial Revolution. They had justified, you know, they tried to use it to justify, you know, just the ill treatment of the workers, you know, just how the workers were just treated like garbage. They worked 6 days a week, you know, 12-hour shifts, barely got enough money. They would run out all the small businesses out of business, and they would try to justify that with social Darwinism. And then the Nazis had also, you know, adopted that as, you know, part of their ideology when they came to power. The darkest moment in any game that I've played? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I think Dimitri was a social Darwinist. Yes, he was. You remember what Nico said? It's all about survival of the fittest for him, and you know, everyone else for him was fair game. Here, God. No, why do I not the tomahawk?
I don't know about darkest, but definitely was the saddest moment that I've had in a video game. Was when Arthur died from the sword.
Who? Wait, I didn't hear you, Jonathan. What character did you say?
I'm saying that one of the, I think the saddest thing in a video game that I've ever played was when Arthur died.
Oh.
Or maybe
right.
when John died.
There really has never been a game that has made me cry before. It's never happened. But, you know, the closest I ever came to crying was at the end of, you know, Call of Duty World at War. That was the, you know, that black and white footage of just the war at the end, and then just when it just, you know, that really scary music plays at the end of World at War, and it just says 60 million people died as a result of World War II's most devastating conflict in human history. That just always gets to me. That's just, it's just so disturbing knowing that all happened.
How'd it go?
Capitale! No, it's a Capitale. Capital is your black word.
Capitale!
Yeah,
Yeah,
Capitale.
Capitale.
You want this letter? Get some more
Opportunities.
Capitale.
You sure
Oh, I
you
have
want
the
same
opportunities
enemies the
already
Italian
here
has?
too, because I already have
that's
full
what
There's some
Capitale
extra
too.
jobs. Maybe some extra Capitale as well.
Yeah.
You're getting to be
Stinking
capable, my
Capitale.
friend. That's dangerous.
Ah,
Might start getting ideas. Ideas like you don't
Capitale.
know Joe no more.
It's just
Might
hilarious.
well cut him out and cut him up, huh?
Hello,
Well,
Pro. I
let's
just
see how
watched
capable
Goodfellas and it was a
you
great
really
movie.
are.
Thank you, Jacob.
There's a
I'm glad that
wagon
you enjoyed
shipping
it.
dynamite.
And thank you,
Blowing
Matthew,
up
for
the
the
Bacchus
super chat
station.
again. Thanks, man.
Crew's
Matthew,
been
you're on
moving
fire
some
with the
of
super
your
chats.
Capitale, too.
Thank you, Jacob and Matthew.
You
Thanks,
don't
guys.
blow
Capitale.
yourself up. You'll get a good price for it. Little reminder how you can't be doing without Joe anytime soon.
Let me see here. I respectively agree about what you said about the RC and teleporting stuff, but I would say that the off-the-radar is good to counter, as you got thermal helmets and scope upside down. Mark II is broken as well. Well, the thing about PvP and GTA Online, the way I look at PvP, is that if somebody can do the cheapest thing ever to get kills that really requires no skill, for me the PvP is broken in that game. It's you know,
Orbital cannon.
yeah, it's like, look, here's what I'll tell you about, look, I don't deny that there's people that are skilled at PvP, King of Killing, it's your name there. I don't deny that people are, you know, skilled, that there's people that are good at PvP, there's people that are good at, like, you know, the combat in GTA Online. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying that PvP overall is garbage in GTA Online. Because the thing is, though, is almost 95% of the time when I get attacked in GTA Online, nobody plays like that. Like, nobody plays fair or anything like that. 95% of the time, it's some stupid garbage. It's like, and the last few times that I've fought players on GTA Online, they weren't even Oppressor Mark II griefers, but they were doing something equally as bad. And, basically what they were doing is, when I fought players, and I recorded it, so I still have footage of it on my PlayStation, I believe, but I didn't upload it because I thought it was just stupid, and it was just dumb footage. But basically what happened was, me and my friends are playing in a free mode session, right? We get jumped by this idiot in a night shark. And so, you know, he just drives around in his night shark, goes off the radar, and just smashes into us and just kills us. And what basically happens is, he just keeps going off the radar, killing people with the night shark, and then what ends up happening is, you fire a bunch of missiles at his night shark, because the night shark is like one of the most armored vehicles in the game. Do you know what he does? When his night shark gets damaged too much, he just teleports right back to his apartment with a heist invite. He gets on another night shark, drives out of his garage, runs us over, shoots us again, and just does the same thing again. And I've seen multiple people do the night shark strategy, where it's not even a strategy, it's just garbage. It's people just take the night shark out, or they take the Imani Tech vehicles, the vehicles where you can't lock onto them, and they just drive those vehicles out, go off the radar, they'll just run people over, kill them, shoot them, and then when you're about to blow up their vehicle, they just teleport right back to their apartment. And the worst part about this, guys, the worst part about this, it's not even the cheap strategy. Do you know what the worst part about it is? The worst part about it is that people that play like that actually think they're good at the game. That's the worst part about it. They actually think that takes skill, and they actually think that makes them a good player. So that's really the worst part about it for me, that they actually think they're good at the game when they play like that, because that's just garbage. And literally, do you know what I've done to counter easy way out, like, spammers? Do you know what I've done to do that? And they get really mad about it, because the easy way out spammers, they will do everything in their power to avoid you getting a kill on them, but I've actually gotten several kills on them, and it's very hard for them to avoid it. Do you know what I do? What I do is, I literally go back to my submarine, and I put on a thermal helmet, and the thermal helmet actually helps with the submarine. When I get on the submarine, I'll fire the cruise missile across the map, and I'll find them, because you can see them with the thermal, and I'll find the easy way out spammer, and I'll just blow them up, and they won't see it coming when the missile just comes down on them. You just blow them up. They get so mad, because you got that one kill on them. Like, they get so annoyed, because it's just constant easy way out, and then when you get in with the cruise missile, they just get so mad. And normally I don't use the cruise missiles, I think they're kind of cheap too, But when I'm dealing with like an easy way out spammer, I'll use cruise missiles on them, and they get really pissed. I've seen several players do that. They get really mad when I kill them with a cruise missile, and I'm not blowing up people for no reason. I'm killing people that were specifically just griefing and just killing people for no reason. So that's like you know, they get really mad when somebody's on the cruise missile. They don't like that. Let's see here.
Copy daily.
Alright, there we go.
See here. What do you think about the U.S. trading Victor Bout, a known gun smuggler, for a random... Well, what I'll say about that is I made a tweet about this. You can look up my tweet. It was like an hour ago. But Victor Bout isn't just some average, you know, gun smuggler. He is one of the most dangerous arms dealers in the world. He is extremely dangerous. And
You
he...
wanna call to arms?
Yeah,
For
he,
someone-
if you want to know who Victor Bout, the guy, Yuri in Lord of War is based on Victor Bout. So if you want to know what kind of person Victor Bout is, you watch Lord of War, which is heavily based on him. Basically, he was, you know, he was a some kind of Soviet military officer, and after the Soviet Union collapsed, he stole hundreds of thousands of AK-47s, you know, helicopters, missiles, a lot of other stuff. We're not just talking like small, you know, arms. He was selling, you know, the big arms. And, basically, he started exporting that to other countries, and so he supported a lot of the African militias that had just murdered so many people. Victor Bout was responsible for arming them. He armed some really bad dictators in Africa. He armed some dictators in the Middle East. He armed dictators in Eastern Europe. And literally, what he was caught when he was finally caught and arrested. He was caught in Thailand in 2008, and he was trying to sell anti-air missiles to FARC, which FARC are the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. They're a terrorist organization. They're a communist terrorist group. And so FARC, if you want to know, FARC and Max Payne 3, they're the guys who actually board the ship, the yacht. They're heavily based on them. They're a real-life terrorist group. But in Max Payne 3, FARC is actually the group is actually based on a left-wing extremist group and a right-wing extremist group put together. The other one, I think it's called the DUP. I think that's the right-wing extremist group, but FARC is the left-wing extremist group.
I think there was something similar to that in SOCOM 4, wasn't it?
In SOCOM, I didn't play SOCOM 4, but well, I played the other SOCOMs.
Like
I didn't
in
play.
SOCOM Navy SEALs, I think, or something like that. Like some terrorist, communist, or cell kidnaps.
Well, anyways, about Victor Bout is that, you know, this is you know who this guy was. Victor Bout has hundreds of, you know, victims, hundreds. You know, his weapons were responsible for hundreds of possibly thousands of deaths. This is like, you know, and the Russian government protects him. So he's, you know, he's under direct protection of the Russian government, and they support him. And the Russian government claims that he's innocent when it's nonsense. He has, so many countries, not just the United States, have condemned him. But he, if you want to know how evil Victor Bout is, he literally went into Angola, which Angola has had a civil war since 1975. It was 1975 to 2002. Victor Bout had actually sold weapons to both sides in the Angolan civil war. He didn't care. It was all about just making money for him. So, you know, how many people did he kill? And the fact that the U.S. government has just released him, that's just, for me, that's just absolute stupidity. I don't know why they would release him. And the thing is, Victor Bout he's not dying of sickness. You know, he's healthy. He's 55 years old. He still has, you know, he can still live for a long time. And so what's to stop him from all the connections that he has in the Russian government? What's to stop him from doing that again? What's to stop him from dealing weapons in other countries and killing more people? Nothing to stop him from that. And the fact that the U.S. government had just traded him, that was just stupid. I'm sorry about what happened to Brittany. You know, I don't think that you should be arrested for marijuana. Even though I hate marijuana personally, I don't think you should be arrested for it. But, you know, I don't think that it's an equal trade. I don't think it is. And literally, the Kremlin is laughing at the U.S. government right now. Like, Kremlin, Putin, all those people are laughing at the U.S. right now. They think that the U.S. is like a joke right now. That we released, like, one of the most dangerous arms dealers in the world. Literally to them. So they're laughing at us. So that's just, it's just stupid. I don't know, you know, why they, you know, how they could do that. And also, we've had an American who's been in Russia arrested for like 4 years, Paul Whelan, I think his name was, who he was accused of spying. So he was like a former Marine, and, you know, what are they doing to help him get out? So it's, So that's, you know, that's pretty much my whole thing on it. I think that they're stupid and incompetent, and I don't know, you know, why they did that. I'm not saying that they should have left Brittany there, don't get me wrong, but it's like, you know, for that, you know, releasing that guy for her, no. That's not an equal trade. You know, that's just, you know, and Victor Bout is still dangerous. It's not like he's harmless now. He's still dangerous. He still can kill people. So it's, you know, God knows, like, you know, what other horrible things he could do. See here.
Think about it like this: would you release Pablo Escobar for an athlete? He's like basically the Pablo Escobar of arms dealing.
Yeah, so like Victor Bout should have been in prison for the rest of his life. Like that day. And the thing is though, I knew who he was before the prisoner swap happened. I've read up about him before because I watched Lord of War is like one of my favorite movies. And, like, I've seen that movie a lot, and I've read about the guy who he was based on, and it was just, like, when I first heard about that he had gotten released, I thought that it was an Onion article. I literally thought that it was fake, that the US had just released him. The Mafia will play a major role in Overdrive, as they'll be allies with the SCSD, helping out in any way, like Woozy's gang with CJ and Grove Street families. Oh, this is for your novel, right, DL Gaming? Oh no, damn. Too much flip here. Thank you for the super chat, DL Gaming. Are you eventually gonna, like, publish this novel somewhere? I really enjoy your Godfather 2 playthrough. Thank you, Jacob. He's just a psycho dictator, Flaming Wolf. When is your how Floyd ended up with Trevor lore video during your GTA 5 playthrough? You said you would do it. Is it almost done? What do you mean, Mr. Blue Wolf? I made my Floyd and Deborah video like half a year ago. Did you? I think you might have missed it. Look up the video. The Dark Truth about Floyd and Deborah. That pretty much explains everything. Floyd's backstory, Deborah's backstory, everything in that video.
Should I wait around the time or should I deliver right now?
Wait until it's 1 minute. We'll get a little bit more money.
Okay.
Overdrive will be my fanfic series on DeviantArt. Oh, okay. Hey, Pro, looking forward to the new GTA Online DLC. Oh, yeah. You know, we're getting a new business. You know, I just hope the new business isn't like some, you know, peyote plant animal stuff. I want it to be serious. So, you know, I wanted, you know, I hope it actually focuses on, like, drug trade and stuff like that on, you know, it's gonna be the hallucinogenic drug, so it's not gonna be, like, you know, the other drugs, like you see, but, like, wonder what it's gonna be like, and, you know, hopefully the DLC has a good story to it.
I'm gonna go ahead in, like, 20 minutes.
I've been good, Isaiah. Okay, Jonathan. Are you gonna do the Brad lore video on GTA 5? I'm actually working on that right now. I'm actually working on that. I've written half the script for it already. So that video will be out this month. Yeah, I should read Grant's biography. He was a very interesting man. I'm on PS5, but I mean, I play on Xbox One, but I play, you know, mostly classics on Xbox One. Yeah, I didn't like Shaundi in Saints Row the Third. You know, she was so different from Saints Row 2. You ever play with fans? I'm playing with fans right now. I'm always play with fans. Like, you know, anybody can really play with me. You know, the only anybody can play with me. You don't even have to be a subscriber of mine to play with me. You don't have to give me a donation or any of that. I don't do that. You know, anyone can play with me. But it's the only two things that I ask when people play with me is 1, don't grief, and 2, don't be toxic. Other than that, anyone can play with me. So it's just Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. People think that the train will be the location for the business in GTA Online. What do you think about that? No, it wouldn't make sense. Like, you know, then, like, you know, it would have to stop somewhere or move constantly, and then you join a lobby and, like, other people are on the trains. They're constantly moving. No, that would make no sense. So, no, it's just, When I was driving out of the Walmart parking lot, I was playing Arab Money from the Ballad of Gay Tony from my car speakers at full volume. Oh. Thank you for the thank you for the super chat, Jimmy.
Look who it is, and kicking the boot.
Speaking of Walmart, speaking of Walmart parking lots, around what time were you there, Jimmy? Because I'll say, I know this is kind of a different subject, but I'll say that for people watching this video, a Walmart parking lot is one of the places where you have the highest risk of being a victim of a crime. A lot of people actually do not know that. And if you are actually there at night, that is your risk of getting robbed is just jumps extremely high. So it's Walmart parking lots are very dangerous at night. A lot of people actually don't know that. What is the one thing you miss about New York City? Well, I'm in New York right now because I'm visiting family for the holidays. So I'm gonna be here for like a month. I have a gaming laptop here that I do my work on. But it's basically the one thing that I do miss about New York that like the Midwest doesn't really have is that New York you can pretty much go anywhere, any store you want 24 hours a day. So it's if you want to get food, 2 o'clock in the morning, you can do that. So it's just, you want to go to like a store at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can do that. You can't really do that in the Midwest. In the Midwest, there's almost no 24-hour places, like none whatsoever. Like the easiest way for me to tell is when I look at Uber Eats. Like if I look at Uber Eats and like I look at like in the daytime, I see all these restaurants, like all of them. And in New York, if I look at night, I still see a bunch of restaurants. But when I look in the Midwest, I look at daytime, I see a bunch of restaurants. But when I look at night, I see none. So that's not even one. So that's the thing about it is that I guess it's just that the time thing. But other than that, that's probably the one thing. How's Walmart dangerous at night? The reason that Walmart is dangerous at night, the Walmart parking lot at least, and this is there's ways to minimize your risk of getting robbed. One of those ways is to park. Oh, we got Railroad Baron. Do you guys want to do that?
I'm actually just going to go to sleep now, so
okay, that's fine.
I don't feel like doing a Railroad Baron right now.
Okay, that's fine. We'll just avoid it then. Let me see here, camp. Okay, so about the Walmart parking lot. People wanted to know why are Walmart parking lots so dangerous. They're so dangerous because think about it this way. You're exiting a store late at night and you're coming out with a lot of groceries. And so criminals will sit in the parking lots and they'll see who has they're going to look for two things. The first thing they're going to look for is your car because they're going to see what kind of car you're driving. Judging by what kind of car you're driving, criminals can make some kind of assumption about what kind of money you have. So if they see you pulling up in like a Mercedes or a BMW or something like that, whoa, what the? Who are these people?
I need sharp eyes on this one.
Okay. So if criminals see you pulling up in like a Mercedes or a BMW, you're already going to be a target. Because they think that you have a lot of money. Even if you don't have a lot of money, but you just own like a Mercedes or a BMW, just because they see your car, they're already going to target you. The second thing is they're going to see how many people. If you're in a group, your chances of getting robbed are very slim. But if you're coming out of the Walmart by yourself at night and you're going up to the car, you're putting all your groceries in the car, there's a risk that they can jump you. at that point. And you're by yourself, you have an expensive car, you're putting a lot of groceries in the car, they're gonna rob you. They're gonna take out a gun, you know, they're gonna take out a knife, they're gonna tell you, you know, give them your money, possibly the groceries, possibly the car too. So that's what I say. But there are ways to minimize your risk of that happening to you. You know, one way that you can minimize your risk is park as close as possible to the door. And the reason you want to park as close as possible to the door is because the doors almost always have cameras. And so the criminals don't like near the door. They like deeper in the parking lot. The second, if you cannot park near the door, park in the most well-lit area. Criminals don't like areas that are, you know, well-lit. They tend to avoid those areas. So if you can, park in those areas. I'll tell you something. The Midwestern police, they did a pretty smart thing to stop Walmarts from, you know, people getting jumped in Walmarts at night. So I would recommend everyone, if you're gonna do shopping, go either in the morning, midday, or afternoon, but don't go at night. Because at night, it's like the biggest risk of it happening. I know that sometimes you're gonna go at night. I'm kind of a hypocrite. Sometimes I go to the store at night, like Walmart. It's like the only store that's kind of open a little bit later, because I gotta get something. But try to avoid going at night if you can, because it just increases your risk of just, you know, coming out of that parking lot, you know, possibly getting robbed. But what I was saying about the police here, in the Midwest, what the police have done is they've put up those, like, those, I don't know what those things are called. Man, the storms in this game are cool. They put up those things, I don't know what those things are called. Somebody knows in the comments. They put up these things that basically say police on them, like these big yellow lights. So it's like kind of like those construction things. Like it's like kind of like a generator, but a light in the same time. And it's like it goes up and it says police on there, and actually has a camera on it. So there's actually a blue light and a camera on it. And they put several of those around the Walmart parking lot at night. And I guarantee you that deterred crime. Because a lot of what crime is deterring crime. Because, like, for instance, if a criminal sees, like, a cop car in front of a bank, they're less likely to rob the bank. Because the cop car is right in front of the bank. So those cameras being those police cameras being around Walmart are actually a deterrent. They're deterring criminals from committing crimes. So that's the thing about it. But yeah, those areas are just, you know, Walmart parking lot is a risky place to be at night. Thank you, Power, for that super chat. Who's my favorite, Goodfellas character? My favorite is Tommy. Yeah, Tommy I would say too. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but it'll be Tommy. I remember, and when his best friend tried to betray him near the end of the movie, that shows you that it's just Jimmy was his name, I think. Jimmy, yeah. It was it just shows you that in that life there's no such thing as true friendships. That they're all in it just for themselves. Hi Patrick, do you have a favorite Marvel movie and a favorite GTA game? Mine is San Andreas. Favorite Marvel movie? I don't know. I don't really watch many of the superhero movies. I'm just not into them. So I would say no. Yeah, I don't have one. For a favorite GTA game is GTA 4. I like GTA 4 because the New York setting, I like, you know, the dark, you know, atmosphere to it. My favorite map would be in San Andreas. So San Andreas, I think, is the best map out of all the GTA games. Thank you, Matthew. And thank you, Jimmy. It was earlier today. I was fine. Yeah, no, I know you're fine, but it's, you know, I'm just trying to give you some advice for the future. Just so you know, it's, okay, here we go. Okay, let's see, what is your opinion on New York drill rap? I don't know what that is, 3rd Street, Saint. Can you explain it to me what it is? You don't have to super chat. I'll look for your comment. Just explain to me what it is, because I honestly don't know. Question, would you conceal carry a gun? I do. Thank you for the super chat. I think that my personal opinion is I think that people are ultimately responsible for their own protection first. And I think that, you know, I think that too many people expect the police to be there all the time. I think people are, you know, for their, you know, I think people are responsible for their own protection first. Because courts have actually ruled that the police actually do not have an obligation to protect you. A lot of people don't know that. But the courts have actually ruled that police do not have an obligation to protect you. So it's, I have no problem with, like, somebody concealed carrying, like, a gun It doesn't scare me or anything like that. The only thing I would, ask is that that person, is trained and actually knows how to handle the firearm. But other than that, I really have no problem with it personally. And also, in the Midwest, like, I see people carrying firearms all the time. Like, it's common. It's very different than New York. Like, New York, that doesn't happen. It's illegal. But it's, in the Midwest, I see people at gas stations, with handguns on their holsters, like, gas station attendants. So that's like, that's common here. It doesn't scare me at all. It doesn't bother me. It's just, different culture. For me, it's fine. Thank you, Ricky, for the super chat. Where's the security guard in Walmart? Inside Walmart. They're not gonna be in the parking lot. Why didn't Rocco kill Tony himself? Why use, Luis? Because he wanted to guarantee Luis's loyalty. But if Luis killed Rocco, killed Tony, that'll be for Rocco to see that Luis is now a partner of theirs. If he killed, like, Tony, and then he had, like, told Luis be a partner of ours, he wouldn't know whether Luis is truly on board or Luis is plotting against him. That was a way to try to see if Luis was, gonna switch sides. That's pretty much what it was about. Thank you, JT. Have you ever asked YouTube about turning on member gifting? Also, hi Pro in chat. Hi Joker. I looked up that feature before last time. I didn't have it. Joker. I'll follow you if I don't follow you on Twitter, Joker. I'll follow you on Twitter, and then you can like message me about like how to do a lot of this stuff here. But I looked up that member gifting thing. I didn't have that feature available for me last time I checked. Hi Patrick, when we play GTA Chinatown Wars, are you gonna 100% on GTA San Andreas? Yes, I will, but first I'm gonna 100% Saboteur. So once I beat Saboteur, we're gonna 100% that. Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. Nico, hey Roman, maybe I shouldn't be trusted to do my own shopping. Me and the shop assistant had a difference in opinion over the pricing. I actually know where that's from, Alien. That's actually I consider that actually the funniest phone call in GTA 4. That's actually from the mission Three's a Crowd. It's like the second or the third mission in the game. And it's that at the end of the mission, it's right after like, Nico drops off Michelle and Mallory. And Roman wants him to go buy new clothes. If you kill the shopkeeper in that mission, Nico will actually call Roman and actually tell him about it. So he'll actually say that, like, maybe I shouldn't be trusted to do my own shopping. Me and the shop assistant had a difference in opinion over the pricing. I remember that phone call too. That's like, I did that before. That's actually pretty funny. Him there. Ah, horse died. Damn.
I got him.
Okay, cool.
This here boy's gonna
Can I have an invite to a question, please?
Sure, in just one moment.
Thank you.
Any requests for the Undertaker?
Damn, there's just so many of them. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at first-person free aim. See here, would you play Max Payne 1 or 2 remakes? Oh yeah, Edgy. Hopefully they're good, not, you know, a disaster. Thank you, Jimmy. Okay, now that I think about it, just a little stupid of me to do that. I just wanted to jam out the Arab money like Yusuf Amir. You can play whatever you want in your car, you know, in music. You know, don't you know, it's fine. You know, it's not a. I really don't care what music you play in your car. It was just more of me just telling you that like Walmart parking lots can be dangerous, dangerous at night. That was just me telling you about that. How's your day? My day was my day was good. Your favorite Libra? Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew, for the for all the super chats. Thanks, man. I don't use Twitter. If you want, you can add me on Discord. I could open my DMs for a day if you'd like. Okay. Do you have Skype by any chance, Joker? Because I really don't use Discord much anymore. The Mafia Turismo and Cognoscenti in Chinatown Wars inspired the Mafia's car in Overdrive, as they drive various Maserati cars. GT, Quad, Troporte, Levanti. Oh, okay. I hope that your novel goes well for you when you do publish it. I know that it's probably many months ago, but Roger Waters from Pink Floyd actually got banned from playing in Poland because of his comments about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Yeah, didn't he defend Russia over it or something like that? I'm trying to remember. I remember somebody told me about that once. But you know, if that is the case, like, you know, he's just an out-of-touch celebrity, you know, these celebrities are just stupid a lot of times. What did you think of the crappy beige Willard the Loan Sharks drive in GTA 4? I think it's quite amusing that Roman refers to it as that. You mean that sedan that they chase you in the, when you gotta get Roman back to the cab depot? Is that the one that you're talking about? The reactions from Roman are kind of funny. If you actually ram into their car, you'll actually get, like, several failed cutscenes in that mission, which is kind of funny.
Can I have an invite back to the pussy, please?
I do use Skype, Joker. I do use it. I have a lot of contacts on it, actually. You gotta wait until we deliver the mission, because we can't invite in the middle of the mission. We're almost done.
Oh, okay. I see.
Hey, Pro, do you play any other games besides Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 1 on your Xbox One? There's something for everyone, although it's not every game. I play Mercenaries Playground Destruction also. Play that on Xbox.
I'm gonna wait until a minute, right?
Something else around here every day.
Thank you, Mr. Waifu, for the super chat.
Hi there.
Thoughts on soda? Well, soda does taste good, but it's very unhealthy, Mustang. I haven't drank soda in 6 years. 6 or 7 years, I haven't drank it. So probably, maybe more than that, probably 8 years at this point. So it's, yeah, I haven't drank soda in a very long time. I don't even drink alcohol, really. So it's, yeah, I just stay away from that. Like, whenever I go to any place, I always ask, you know, you got water or tea? Water or tea or iced tea, or juice. If they don't have any of that, I just drink water. That's it. So it's just, I'd rather drink water than soda, honestly. Thank you, Matthew. Nicholas, thank you, man. You are on fire with those super chats. Thanks, man. Thank you, Alien. Johnny, we had a problem, Raymond. I didn't like the look of some of the muscle of the Libertonian. They reminded me too much of you. Then Ray says that's real cute and hopes that Johnny's phone is tapped. No, I remember what Ray says. Ray says, that's real cute, taking out people, some kind of joke to you, you know? I never thought I'd say this, but I hope your phone is tapped, you imbecile. That's what, Ray actually says. So it's kind of funny. But the funnier phone call, though, Alien, is if you actually kill Jim in that mission, then Johnny will actually call Ray, and Ray will say, you know, where's the money, Johnny? I'm getting anxious. And then Johnny says, I'm not in the mood today, Ray. I lost a brother. And then Ray says, oh, boo-hoo. Where's the money? And don't you hang up on me. Don't you hang up on me. And then Johnny just hangs up on him. These phone calls aren't canon, but there you get these phone calls you get in GTA 4 if you actually fail certain ways. And some of them are really funny. So it's, I'm gonna do a video on this one day, like top 10 funniest fail calls in GTA 4, because there's a lot of really funny ones. Yeah, that was me who told you that. Oh, okay. What did he say specifically, Jacob? Thank you for the, super chat. Hey, Pro, in the Saints Row 2 cutscenes, the Sons of Samedi were the only rival gang that did not do business with Ultor. It would have been very interesting if they did a deal with each other. Well, the thing about that is that the gangs can't really do deals with each other, because then they would kind of bring the story into conflict, because what happens if they did like a deal for Brotherhood, right? And then you wipe out the Brotherhood, and then you go to the Sons of Samedi storyline. It wouldn't really match. But that's it, exquisite. But I always liked the idea of the three gangs storyline. I always liked that. I didn't like, you know, the way Saints Row the Third did it, where it's just like one big storyline. I hated that. I liked it where it was 3 separate storylines, and then it was like one epilogue at the end. That's the way I always liked the Saints Row storylines.
Have you finished that mission yet, bro?
Did you see the? Yeah, I did. The posse's open. You should be able to join.
You're gonna add trio now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger told people to screw their freedom? When did he say that? Well, he sounds like an idiot then. You know, it's another out-of-touch celebrity. It's, see here,
Morning, mister.
Hey, Pro, how's life? And hello from Malaysia. Well, hello, Roshan, Singh. Everything's good. How are you, man? Have I ever played the Yakuza series? Actually, no, I haven't. Have you ever watched this movie called Eastern Promises? No, I haven't. What happens if you shoot Atticus Marshall in the reboot instead of firing him? You just shoot him. This is a cutscene where the boss just shoots him, and then the cutscene is like no different than if you fired him after that. New York drill rap is like gangster rap, but disrespectful to dead rival gang members. Oh, well, I didn't know about. I never heard of this before, but you know, you shouldn't really be singing about somebody's death. You know, that's like a lot of rap, you know, these days has become like very toxic. I just you know, I don't like a lot of like rap. Some of the stuff, like some of 50 Cent's music I like. You know, 50 Cent, I generally like him, and I like Eminem's, some of Eminem's music. But like, you know, some of the other music where it's just, you know, constant F-bombs and all the other stuff, like, you know, I can't listen to it. I actually like the older rap, like, you know, the rap from the 1990s, like Run DMC. Those are the guys that actually I was the fan of the most. I like them the most. Did you join in, Trio?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you walk around New York City during Christmas and do a live stream? Well, I wouldn't be able to be there at Christmas, but I could try to do another video in New York. I'm in New York, so I could try to do another GTA 4 lore video, but I have to think about where I want to go, what I want to do. How crooked is Hyman Roth in The Godfather 2? Well, Hyman Roth is basically playing everyone just for his personal gain. Hyman Roth pretends like he's retired, like he's done, but he's still very much active in the criminal world, and to him, everyone else is expendable, pretty much. The phone call where Nico wastes Dimitri, the one where Nico changes out the Albanian clothes, and when Yusuf crashes the skylift in the Ballad of Gay Tony 2. Yeah, those phone calls. I'm gonna do a video on this one day, Mr. Waifu, with all the different fail calls, and I'm gonna talk about my favorite ones. Thank you, Rocco, if I'm reading your name correctly. Awesome stream. Thank you. That Albanian's hygiene weren't so good. I had to change out his clothes. It's funny you can fail the mission by changing your clothes. Yeah, I remember that. That's the mission called I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. That's the mission name is a reference to Terminator. But I remember in that mission specifically, I remember what actually happens is that mission is kind of fun. I'm gonna go to my moonshine shack. But I remember that mission. It was if Nico actually changes out of the Albanian biker jacket, he calls Gerald and he tells him that, and then Gerald's response is really funny. He's like, "Nico, you dumb idiot! The whole plan was you being mistaken for that particular Albo. Come back here, moron." That's what he says to him. So Jerry gets really mad in that mission. It's kind of funny. I've seen the movie Fargo. It was a long ago, but I saw it, and then I seen the first 3 seasons of Fargo. I didn't see season 4 though. People told me not to watch season 4. They said season 4 sucked. But I'm gonna watch season 4 when I get to it, anyways. Thank you, Power. You think you could do top 5 vehicles in GTA 5 in 2022? In 2023. So the first week of January, I'll probably put a video like that out, like top 5 vehicles everyone should own in 2023. I haven't done like one like that in a long time, so I could do it. He said something about how Ukraine should have negotiated with Russia and that NATO promised not to push up to the Russian border. He said China isn't invading Taiwan and Taiwan is a part of China. Yeah, he's an idiot. You know, what I'll say about the,
I have some ideas.
What I'll say about the whole NATO thing is that if you just look at, you know, all of the countries that, like, Russia borders, pretty much every single country that Russia borders is a puppet state. Almost every single one. Oh, I can only sell Bert Higgins. But if you look at, like, you know, Belarus, clear puppet government of Russia. They can, you know, you have Lukashenko there, but Lukashenko doesn't do anything without Putin's approval. You know, Kazakhstan is actually trying to get a little bit away from Russia. But, you know, you look at a lot of the countries that border Russia around there, and it's just, they're all extremely friendly to Russia, almost very much like puppet states. And so, Russia has actually been pushing into other countries, you know, borders, like with the whole Donbass thing that happened in, you know, that started in 2014. And, they've been supporting rebels there for years. For, like, a long time. They've been supporting rebels, they've been giving them weapons. You know, it's been, you know, obvious. The Russians had denied it, but they've been doing it. You know, and look at Georgia. Georgia was not a member of NATO, and Georgia got invaded in 2008. So it was, you know, so there's a reason that so many countries want to join NATO. There's a reason for that. You know, Russia just constantly claims that it's Western aggression against them, and they claim that it's Western imperialism, that NATO is trying to get into their sphere of influence. That's what Russia claims. But why does Russia have to have a sphere of influence? What about those countries? Can't those countries decide on their own? So that's pretty much what I about that. Is that it's ultimately up to those countries.
Well,
and
I think you've probably gathered by now that there ain't much love lost between moonshiners. Just look at me and Danny Lee. And if folks want to play dirty around here, that's a game I intend to win. So maybe it's time you dropped in on our rivals and caused a few accidents. All's fair in moonshine and war, I say. And we're bringing both.
Okay, start up this mission here. But yeah, if you look at the country of Estonia, for instance, Estonia is a small country in the Baltics. And Estonia actually has like a Russian population there. And that Russian population had wanted a referendum. They had wanted a referendum for some time. And I'm not saying every Russian person in, you know, Estonia wants a referendum, but they've wanted a referendum for some time. And even though there is somewhat of a Russian population there, that land is historically Estonian. It's part of Estonia. The Russians have no claim to that land. But I'm going to say, if Estonia was not NATO, for instance, that same thing would have happened to Estonia that happened to Ukraine and Georgia. So that's like NATO actually saved Estonia in that case. You know, Estonia would have suffered by this point if they hadn't been in NATO. But, you know, as for the China comments that, like, you know, that, you know, the Pink Floyd, Pink Floyd celebrity said, you know, he's an idiot. You know, Taiwan is an independent country. It's not, you know, it's not part of China. You know, the people there do not want to be part of China. They don't want to be part of that state. So the guy's just, the guy's an idiot. It's an independent country. That's it. You know, what I'll say, if he likes China so much and he likes the Communist Party in China, he can go live in China and not live in the West like he does. Because like I see all these dumb celebrities that like defend the Communist Party of China, but none of them would actually live in China. They would all live in the West. So that's like that's what I'll say about him. You know, if he likes the Communist Party of China so much, why doesn't he just go move there and live there? But he's not gonna do that. And ultimately, the reason that he's criticizing Taiwan, why he's doing it, why does a musician, why does a guy like that like get into stuff like this? Why? I'll tell you why. The reason it's to line his pockets. That's pretty much what it's about. It's to make money. Because if he takes a position where he defends Taiwan and he doesn't defend China, China would never let him perform a concert or sell his music in China. They would ban him instantly. And so it's ultimately about that. He wants the money from mainland China. And so he's willing to sell out his principles, you know, for the greed of, you know, the greed of the Chinese Communist Party. And so it's like I've said before, you know, it's money is not everything. It's not. And you have to have something called principles. There's something called principles. And unfortunately, in our society today, a lot of people don't have principles anymore, nor do people know what principles are anymore. But yeah, there's something called principles, and more people should learn how to have them. But that's it. Yeah. I don't care how much money China would offer me. I would never be their propaganda guy or, you know, say any of that stuff. I mean, look at me, for instance. Like I took a massive hit on my channel. I lost, like, you know, half of my views and, you know, probably, like, half of my ad revenue when I switched up my content. When I literally, you know, started doing other content. Like, I used to get, like, at my peak, I would get, like, 30,000 subscribers a month. Do you know how many subscribers I get now? I get between 3,000 to 5,000 subscribers a month when I used to get, like, you know, 30,000 subs a month. So I get, like, 10% of the subs that I used to have, like, in a month. But the thing is, despite my sub counts being, you know, so much lower than in the past, I don't regret anything that I did. I don't regret any of the changes that I did on my channel. I don't regret any of that. Do you know why? Because I wanted to diversify my content, and I wanted to play other games. I wanted to do other stuff that I was into. I wanted to play other games and do other stuff, and, like, you know, do the playthroughs, like the playthroughs and the lore videos. I like doing those a lot. You know, dressing up as the characters. I had fun doing that. And so, you know, I took a massive hit by taking my channel away from GT Online. But it was a hit that I was willing to take, and I never regretted it. And so I'm much happier, and I'm in a much better state than what I used to be in. So I didn't hate doing GT Online content. I like doing GT Online content, but it was just too much for me. Like, I covered everything that I could in the game, and I didn't want my channel just to revolve. I didn't want everyone to come to my channel and just think, oh, that's the guy that does GT Online. I don't want people to think that. I want people to look at my channel and be like, oh, wow, this guy plays a lot of different games. He does playthroughs, he does lore videos, and stuff like that. So that's ultimately what I did. So the point that I'm making relevant to this is that you know, is that money isn't everything. I took a massive hit on my channel. You know, I could have had way more money if I just did just GT Online. But, you know, I took that hit because I wanted to do other content on my channel. But, you know, you compare it to the, you know, the dumb celebrity, you know, they're just willing to sell out their soul, you know, to the Communist Party of China if it's just going to line their pockets and give them more money. It's like, do these people not have enough money? You know, these people are, you know, multi-millionaires. Like, do they not have enough money that they still want money from China? So it's like, is it enough money? Like, it's just, that's ultimately what I say about that. Is any celebrity who sells out to the Communist Party of China, I will never support, ever. Like, that's why I think that John Cena is a joke, and I hate John Cena. And, like, I will, I cannot believe that when I was a kid, I cannot believe it when I was a kid that I liked John Cena and I looked up to him. I looked up to John Cena when I was a kid, and so I can't believe that now. I hate him. So it's just, like, I don't like John Cena anymore, and, you know, I have zero respect for John Cena. So it's just that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up John Cena apologizes to the Chinese government. There's a video of it on YouTube. Okay, let me see here. Did you hear about the game Crime Boss? Yeah, I heard about it. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Third Street. Meanwhile, in GTA 5, mission failed. No phone call. Yeah. That's GTA 4 had so much. The voice actors in GTA 4 did so much work that they did so many ridiculous, like, you know, fail calls that I didn't even know was in the game. Did you hear about Volition releasing an update for Saints Row 4 on PC, which completely screwed the games with bugs, and the Epic Game Store launch? No, I didn't hear anything about this. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Waifu. Funniest fail cutscene in GTA 5, when Franklin breaks into Michael's house. When Franklin first goes into Michael's house, there's actually, if you actually spook, like, Jimmy and like Tracy, and then you spook like Amanda. There's separate cutscenes for that, and some of them are really funny. So that's What does the U.S. achieve with the embargo with Cuba? I don't find them a threat, unlike North Korea. Heck, we conduct business with China. Oh, I agree with you, Victor, that, you know, it's hypocritical. It's hypocritical why we have an embargo on a country like Cuba, but we don't have an embargo on a country like China, which China is just as authoritarian as Cuba. So it's just the fact that we deal with China. We also deal with Vietnam, which is another communist country. So we buy stuff from them also. So, but yet we don't, you know, what I'll tell you about it is it's all selective geopolitics. That's pretty much what it's about. And so, I don't know, they think that by putting sanctions on Cuba, that is going to, that's somehow going to cause the government to collapse, but it's not. Cuba has been, you know, the government in Cuba has been here for a long time. And also what I'll say about it is that a lot of times sanctions actually help dictators. They do. Because, what I'll tell you is that, in my parents' country of Poland, I'm pretty sure there was sanctions against the Warsaw Pact, but my parents grew up in a communist country. And every single time there was, you know, some kind of economic problems in the country. Every time there was something wrong in Poland, there was food shortages or something like that. Do you know what the communist government in Poland did? Every single time, it's the Americans' fault. The Americans are responsible for the poverty. The Americans are responsible for the food. It was always that. They would always blame the U.S. They would never take responsibility for their own failures. They would blame the U.S. And there was actually, like, there was a lot of crops. There was a lot of these bugs that came into Poland, and they ate all the crops. And so the Polish government accused the United States of, like, dropping these bugs into Poland to, like, you know, destroy the crops when there was no evidence of that. And so relating this back to sanctions is that when you put sanctions on a country like Cuba, that's not going to really do much, because basically what Cuba is going to do...
I freaking knew it!
Yeah, don't freak out too much, dude, because when you freak out, though, you give them what they want. They want a reaction. I'm just gonna find a new session here.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, but look, when you put sanctions on a country like Cuba, what basically happens is the Cuban government, whenever there's anything goes bad in Cuba, if you can't get food in the supermarket on time in Cuba, you know, you can't get the proper medicine that you need, do you know what they do? They blame the United States. That's what they always do. And so sometimes sanctions help dictators, because they blame the U.S. for all their problems, when a lot of their problems aren't even caused by the U.S., it's caused by the dictator. But the dictators use the sanctions, and they use that to blame the U.S. Putin does the same thing. He blames all the economic problems in America on all the economic problems in Russia on America, when it's actually his own fault for invading another country. So the sanctions, I'm not the biggest supporter of sanctions. I don't think that they necessarily work, because all they basically do is they give the dictator still stays in power. And the dictator still blames, you know, the U.S. for all the problems, when a lot of the problems are caused by the dictator, not even by the U.S. So that's ultimately, you know, what I think of sanctions. So I don't think, you know, the sanctions against Cuba are really doing anything. And in fact, I think it's, you know, hurting, you know, people more than the government itself. But that's, yeah, that's just my personal opinion on it, you know. I agree with you. I don't know, you know, we trade with a communist country like China, but then, you know, we sanction Cuba. So I do agree with you on that. I think that that's, you know, kind of stupid. It doesn't make sense.
So
and also,
do you want to do a private lobby?
Yeah, can you do one right now? I'll go to a poker table too.
Yeah, I'm in a session right now.
What I'll also say about it is that, okay, I'm gonna have to go to, hang on a second, let me start up a camp here. Also, there's this country in the world, and what I was saying about, like, you know, the sanctions is the sanctions are selective. There are certain dictatorships that the U.S. government, for instance, they will sanction like crazy, but then there are other dictatorships that the U.S. government won't sanction because they're friendly with the U.S. government. And a lot of people actually don't know that. So I'm not a fan of any dictatorship. You know, I can't stand the Cuban and the Russian and the Chinese dictatorships also. But, you know, there's a lot of other dictatorships, like, around the world that, like, you know, they don't get sanctioned. Like, China doesn't get sanctioned. Vietnam doesn't get sanctioned. But most importantly, there's one that actually shows the massive hypocrisy, and there's actually this country called Turkmenistan. And I suggest everybody look this up, because what I'm going to say right now, you're not going to believe me. You're going to think that I'm making it up. But there's this country called Turkmenistan. It's a country in Central Asia. There was one mission in SOCOM, so if you guys remember when I played SOCOM 1, there's actually the missions in Turkmenistan. And Turkmenistan is a brutal military dictatorship. You probably never heard of the country before. I think the whole country only has like 4 million people. So it's a large country, but it doesn't have a huge population. And so about Turkmenistan is the country used to be part of the Soviet Union. When it became independent, it became a dictatorship. And then after the first dictator died, the second dictator took over. I don't remember the dictator's name because he has like a very long name. But and let's do this new session here. I'm gonna answer all the questions and the super chats in a moment here, but let me just tell this story really quick. So about Turkmenistan is the dictator in Turkmenistan. If you want to know how much of a psycho he is, if you look at the capital city Ashgabat of Turkmenistan, almost all the buildings are painted white. Almost all of them. And all the cars in the streets are white and gray. Because that's the only color that the dictator allows. He doesn't allow you to drive any other car color besides white and gray, and all the buildings have to be painted white. There was also a law in Turkmenistan. Let me invite you here, Trio. Are you? Yeah. Invite me. There was a law in Turkmenistan that you are only allowed to have a beard if you're over 70 years old. There's only state TV, only state media. So people have no outside information in Turkmenistan. Another thing about Turkmenistan is, join my session now, Trio. You joining?
Have you got my invite?
Yeah. Are you joining?
Okay.
You're joining and doing an invite only session right now. You joining?
I've accepted.
Okay, so I'll join too. So look, and I'm not even done saying all the dumb things this dictator does. So the Turkmenistan dictator, he also built a giant golden statue in the middle of the city to his dog, like a giant golden statue to his dog. And the first dictator that ruled Turkmenistan, all hospitals were closed in the countryside. The only hospitals were allowed were in the city because the dictator said it was a waste of money to have hospitals outside of the capital. So he basically lets everyone outside of the capital suffer.
Just invite me.
If you look at the capital of Turkmenistan, Ashgabat is, even though all the buildings are painted white, it's actually a beautiful city. It actually looks decent, but it's all for show. It's fake. Because the capital are only where the elites live. It's similar to North Korea, where in North Korea it's Pyongyang. Pyongyang's actually not that bad of a city. It looks nice as a city. But only the North Korean elites are allowed to live in Pyongyang. Same in Turkmenistan. Only the Turkmenistani elites are allowed to live in Ashgabat. But outside of the countryside in North Korea, the countryside in Turkmenistan, is just absolute poverty. It's poverty. And this dictator is such a psycho that he actually does music videos. He does music videos. He did one video, holiday special, where he was actually playing the piano on Christmas time. Not joking, on state TV. He made his people watch that. He did another thing where he also did a rap video. So yes, the dictator did a rap video. The dictator of this country was rapping. He did a rap video on state TV with his grandson. They were rapping. And they forced his people to watch it on state TV. This sounds like something in a Just Cause game. It sounds like something made up, like an Onion story, but this is real. All of this happened. He also wrote books. So the dictator wrote books. And his books, I've seen his books, they look like children's books. Like, it's just like a few, like, words on a page and then a picture. And his books have to be sold in every single bookstore in the country. And when people are sworn in the Turkmenistani parliament, they have to swear on the dictator's book. So that's how much of a psycho he is. And I've seen him bench at the gym. Like, the dictator, when he benches at the gym, it's a joke. Like, I bench more than him at the gym, and I'm not even that strong. So it's like, they're all just clapping. There's one video where he shoots a target pistol. And when he's shooting the target pistol, he's shooting at maybe like 10 meters. That's the easiest. Target pistols are some of the most accurate weapons. And shooting a target at 10 meters is so easy to do. And yet this dictator, all the soldiers are clapping like it's amazing or something like that. So the point that I'm making is that this is a psycho dictatorship. And if you want to know how much of a psycho dictatorship it is, Turkmenistan is rated as... invite me, by the way, Trio, when you get the chance.
Yeah, I can.
Turkmenistan is the second most unfree country in the world. Second. The number one most unfree country in the world is North Korea. So Turkmenistan is number 2 behind it. So Turkmenistan is not that much. But you hear all this about North Korea. You hear so much about North Korea. But I bet you've never heard about this country, Turkmenistan, that I told you about, which is almost just as bad. The people live under this dictator's, brutality. He's killed so many people also. He's a mass murderer. And yet, there's no sanctions on Turkmenistan. None. You never hear about it. No sanctions. The U.S. doesn't say anything. Government doesn't say anything about it. None of the world governments say anything about it. And not only that, they openly trade with Turkmenistan. We trade with Turkmenistan. Other countries trade with Turkmenistan. So they do business with this dictator and with this government. But why does North Korea get all these sanctions, but Turkmenistan doesn't? The reason for that is because North Korea constantly threatens its neighbors. Turkmenistan doesn't threaten its neighbors. North Korea has nuclear weapons. Turkmenistan doesn't. Turkmenistan has declared itself a neutral state, so it doesn't take a side. And because of that, it deals with the Russians, and it deals with the Chinese, and deals with the Americans. And so that's pretty much it. The U.S. government is willing to let that dictatorship slide. They don't say anything against that dictatorship. They actually like having that dictator in power. Why? Because Turkmenistan has one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world. It has so much natural gas. And so they sell that natural gas to the U.S. and they sell it to the West for very cheap. And so that's why they like to keep it. They like to keep the current dictator in power because it makes them money. Because it's cheap gas that they're buying from the dictator. So they'd have no reason to replace him. So they don't care if the people are suffering in that country or anything like that. So what I was saying about sanctions are applied geographically. They apply it to one dictatorship, but won't apply it to another. You know, Turkmenistan is one of the worst dictatorships in the world. They're even worse than Cuba. But yet there's no sanctions on them. You know, Cuba's a freer state than Turkmenistan is. So Cuba's not, I'm not defending the Cuban government, but I'm just saying Cuba, if you compare it, it's more freer than Turkmenistan. So it's just, you know, the fact that this country doesn't get any sanctions, but then a country like Cuba gets, you know, all the sanctions, that's ultimately what it's about, is they apply these sanctions specifically to dictators that they don't like, they'll apply the sanctions to, but the dictators that they like, they won't apply the sanctions to. You never hear about anything in the media about Turkmenistan. You never hear about the dictator or anything. Just Google it if you don't believe me. He does rap videos. He builds giant golden statues with his dog. And he's like one of the most psycho dictatorships in the world, and you hear nothing about it. Zero. So that's ultimately what it's about, is that they choose selectively, you know, what they want to do. They get cheap gas from the dictator, and so because of that, they really don't care about if the people are suffering in the country. So, you know, I personally don't believe it when they always say, you know, I don't like, you know, typically talking about subjects like this, but I personally don't believe it when they always say, oh, you know, it's about democracy and everything like that. There's always ulterior motives behind that. You know, if they really cared, you know, about democracy, why didn't they get rid of the dictator of Turkmenistan? He's been in power for, you know, how long? You know, over 15 years at this point. So why have they not gotten rid of him? So that's just, you know, that's ultimately what I gotta say about that. Let me see here. I missed a bunch of super chats. Please say this. I regret nothing. Well, why do you want me to say that? I did say it, but why did you want me to say that? Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Waifu.
Can I
Is
just
that
say
like
I
a line
didn't
that a character says, or? Oh, let me start the posse here again.
I didn't mean to push you off your horse. I
No, it's
forgot we
fine.
were
It's
in
not a big
horses.
deal. I'm not pissed or anything. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Did I struggle a bit when I switched? Oh yeah, I switched. I struggled a lot with views. Like I struggled like a lot when I switched up my content. But like I said, it was mainly a principle thing, and so it was. I was not gonna, you know, constantly do GT Online if I was unhappy. I didn't think it was fair to my audience if I was gonna do content just for views and because I was, you know, unhappy with the content. And so I wanted to do what I really enjoy doing. And every single video that you see me doing, including live streams, I do because I enjoy. You know, I do this as a living. I don't deny that I make money from this, and it helps me pay the bills, sure. But every single video that I put out because I like it, and I'm interested in that, and I had fun making it. And yes, I do make a living from it, but it's what I don't always do what gets the most views. I do what I enjoy and what's important to me. Too many YouTubers, though, they do just the content that's just what they feel will get the most views, not necessarily if they like it or not. And I personally think that's a really bad way.
It's paid dividends too. You have 1 million subs.
Yeah, it's also a really bad way to go about it, because if you're doing videos that's mainly for views and you're not doing it because you enjoy doing it, your content is gonna suffer, and people are gonna see that. You know, I don't want to make any names because I respect a lot of these channels, but there are certain channels that I watch. There are certain channels that I watch, GTA channels and Call of Duty channels. And some of these channels, when you watch these channels, if you've been watching them for a long time, you can tell when these YouTubers, you can tell when they're tired of GTA. You can tell when they're tired of Call of Duty. You can tell that they want to play a different game. You can tell they don't want to keep doing the same game over and over again. But the reason they keep doing the same game over and over again, even though they're tired of it, is because they're scared. And they think that if they try to do some other content, if they try to play another game, that all their views are going to drop, their subscribers are just going to leave, and so they're going to lose all their ad revenue. And that's ultimately what it's about. And so me, I'm not like that. You know, I do what I want to do, you know, regardless of the views. You know, I played Sniper Elite, you know, V2 when that was getting like 5,000 views a video. You know, it still has like 5,000 views a video, but I still did the whole Sniper Elite V2 series because I liked it and I had fun and I enjoyed the game. And that's ultimately what I think it's about. Is I think you should do, you know, what you like doing and what you enjoy doing, and it's not just, you know, not everything is about the views. It's not just that. So it's And and I've heard and I'll tell you something. I've heard some arguments from like some of these YouTubers. They say, oh, I do what gets the most views because I can't make a living otherwise. Well, my response to that would be, if you have to do it to to make a living, at least make it good videos. Then at least if you're only gonna do the same thing, at least make it good and interesting videos. But what I'll say about it is that. My advice as a YouTuber is that if your main source of income, I shouldn't say main source because my main source of income is YouTube, but if your only source of income is YouTube, that's a really, really, really bad idea. Even PewDiePie himself, I believe he said that YouTube as a main source of income is not a good idea, or the only source of income. So I have other sources of income. I don't just make money from YouTube. If you want to know my other sources of income are two things: the stock market, and also I own a rental business. So that I own a house, I rent it out to people, and I want to get more rental properties in the future. And even though I don't make that much money from my rental property, it's a way for me to diversify my income. So I'm not just dependent on just YouTube. So if something goes wrong with YouTube, if YouTube fails tomorrow or something like that, it's like all my money isn't going to be gone out there. I'm still going to have a way to technically support myself. So that's just it. So that's why ultimately I think that having YouTube as just your only source of income is a bad idea, because YouTube is a very volatile system where, it's just all over the place. You could have your views really high one day and have your views really low one day. It's a very volatile system, and that's why I don't think that any YouTuber should have YouTube as their only source of income. I think if you have YouTube as your only source of income, I think that's a really, really bad idea. And this isn't, you don't just apply this to YouTube, but apply this also to real life, to anything pretty much. I do not recommend, if you're working any kind of job, doesn't matter what kind of job it is, if that job is how you pay the bills, do not have only one job as your source of income. I'm not saying that you should be working like 2 or 3 jobs or something like that. I'm not advocating for that. But I'm saying if you can have something on the side that you can make a little bit money from, do it. As long as it's legal. So that do the thing on the side that's going to get you some more money, just so you have like an extra amount of income building up. That way, if your job gets screwed, if something happens to your job, you have like something to fall back on. That's why it's always good to have a fallback plan. So that's just that's ultimately what I gotta say about that. Let me see here. I think I missed a bunch of comments. Hi, Pro. Happy Friday. I'm curious about your thoughts on why Tony Soprano had no problem killing a human being, but he's very compassionate towards animals, like when Ralph burned down the stable and killed the horse. I think it's because he bonds with these animals, and so he learns, oh, I got 2 minutes to wait for this. He likes these animals a lot. He bonds with them. Like a lot of sociopaths are like this, that they might be cold-blooded to like killing people, but then when it comes to animals, they're very close to them. So that might happen. I mean, you even look at one of the most evil people in history. Like, you look at Hitler, for example. Hitler, one of the worst human beings ever on this planet. Hitler loved his dog. Like Blondie, I think that was what his dog was called. So, there's several pictures of him with his dog. And, Hitler, had no problem with just all the mass murders, all the killings, the Holocaust, the concentration camps, the bombings, the invasions, all of that stuff. He didn't care about any of that. He didn't care about human life at all, but he loved his dog. So that just shows you that, these really evil people, even throughout history, they can have a bond with animals, but then when it comes to people, they don't care about them at all. That's, see here, John Cena Bing chilling. Yeah, John Cena is a joke. I don't respect him anymore. Power. Hi, Professional. It's been a while. How you doing? I'm doing good, Sam. How are you, man? Yeah. Yeah, that one. The tennis coach in GTA 5 is pretty racist. That one. I remember that cutscene too. That's when Franklin gets spotted by them. Thank you, Mario. Do you have any family Christmas plans? Not really. Probably just gonna have dinner with the family. That's just it. Yes, he did kill his dog. He fed his dog the cyanide capsule first to see if the dog would die, because he wanted to see what he wanted to see whether they actually gave him a real cyanide capsule. So that Hi Patrick, happy Friday. I'm grinding my crates. Thank you, Eric.
Ne vous pressez pas surtout.
Okay, let's see here. Are these ready? Oh. Bert Higgins? Again. Come on, I don't have anyone to sell just Bert Higgins. Come on. Somebody's gotta be... Okay. Damn. Does anyone else need help selling anything, like Trader or Moonshiner or anything like that?
As the new recipe.
I could check, but I can't
Let me
remember if we
disband.
sold mine last week. I can't remember if we sold mine last week or not.
Oh, all demo kills challenge. Nah, that one's just not good.
Landlords raise the housing pricing ladder for the working classes, forcing struggling families into renting properties. You're capitalizing from those on minimum wage, and I find that immoral. What are you... Look, okay, Ellie. What I'll say about this is... you know the YouTuber? Yes, I know that YouTuber. What I'll say about this is, there are scumbag landlords. I don't deny that. That happens. Like, I grew up in New York. There's so many scumbag landlords in New York. But the house that I'm renting to, I'm not even renting to, you know, working class people. The house that I'm renting it to, they have more money than me. You know that. They actually run their own business. They run a roofing business, and they have businesses in 3 states. So my tenants actually have more money than me. The reason that they're renting out my house is because they're doing business in my state, and they don't want to buy a house, so they wanted to rent it, but they have more money than me. So my tenants are more wealthy than me. So, you know, landlords are not always these rich people that you think they are. And, you know, you're basically going off of the you're basically going off of kind of like I don't mean to like put words in your mouth, kind of like a communist socialist argument with that. You're basically implying that landlords are somehow, like, you know, sucking off of the working class, and that the working class are just have to, you know, stuff like I know there's scumbag landlords, but I've always been very fair to my tenants. I'm not a scumbag. Like, hang on. So I don't understand your point. If my tenants are making more money than me, and if you're claiming that I'm exploiting the working class by being like a landlord, and my tenants are making more money than me, like, where does that argument go at that point? Like I want to know, like, an actual answer. Are they exploiting me at that point? Then I don't know. Like, it's like I'm joking on that part, but it's just that's just yeah, it's just no, I know exactly where Ellie, you know, the argument Ellie's making. I know, you know, I've heard that argument before. You know, I don't think it's true. And look, I have worked very hard to acquire my property. I wasn't handed my property or anything. I worked very hard to acquire my property. I worked for many years to be able to afford that property and get that property. I didn't just have you know, a suitcase of money just drop in front of me and just decided to just, you know, to get all this stuff. You know, that wasn't like that. You know, my grandmother, you know, she came to this country. She came from a communist country. She had nothing when she came to this country. She worked very, very hard. Eventually took out a mortgage, and she had gotten like a small apartment building in New York. That's what she owned. I grew up in that small apartment building. We had 4 units in it. And so what happened was, when my grandmother had passed away, she split the property with my dad and his 2 brothers. And so my dad had actually ended up purchasing the property from his other 2 brothers. And when I ended up, you know, my parents weren't rich people. You know, you think that my parents aren't rich people. They were still, like, you know, they're still, I'd say, middle-class people. You know, they were working class. I mean, my parents worked working-class jobs, but they were kind of, like, more middle-class. But, you know, we had that rental property. I grew up in that. And what I'll say about that is, when I grew up in this rental property, what a lot of the people aren't saying, like, a lot of the people that think that landlords are scumbags, and like I said, I know there's scumbag landlords out there like that. But there's, you know what there's also out there that people don't talk about? Scumbag tenants. That also happens. And I've seen that. I haven't had scumbag tenants before, thank God. but I've seen scumbag tenants. I've seen some really, really bad tenants before. Growing up in my parents' like apartment building, I've seen some really, really bad tenants. And also, when I purchased my house, it had nothing to do with my parents' money. It was all my money. My parents didn't give me anything. I worked on it all on my own. So, but about the scumbag, you know, the scumbag tenants, I'll tell you this. There was this one guy. Invite me to your posse, by the way, when you get the chance, Trio. There was this one guy who rented out, you know, an apartment upstairs. I remember he lived in the floor right above me, and this was like a guy in his 20s, and this was like maybe like 2004, 2005 when this happened.
Wait, can you
So this
also
is like
invite me? Oh, there we
this
go.
was like a bit ago. One moment here.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So about the scumbag landlords. So look, I had this guy. He was in his 20s. He lived in the unit right above me when I was a kid. His you know, his floor was right above my bedroom. I remember that. And what happened was, this guy, the reason my parents brought this guy in, this guy was Polish also. And my parents would typically rent to a lot of Polish people. My parents were fine with everyone. The reason my parents rented to Polish people is because their English is really bad. Like, they've improved a lot. Like, you know, this is like 15, 17 years ago. So my parents speak a lot better English now, but their English is really, really bad at the time. So they would primarily look for Polish people just so that they could speak easier to them. And I told my parents, I said, this is a bad idea, just renting out just the Polish people. I said, you know, we should try to look for, you know, a bunch of different people. You're only limiting yourself. Even when I was a teenager, I told this to my parents. I said, we should try to look for people like, you know, everyone else, not just Polish people. My parents were always, our English is bad. We need to be able to communicate with them and stuff like that. And I would speak to my parents in Polish. So it was, but my parents rented out to this Polish guy that was in his 20s. He had no criminal record, nothing like that. You know, he didn't seem crazy or anything, seemed like a nice guy. But this guy was one of the worst tenants that I've ever seen in my life. So even though this guy had, like, no debt issues, he had a fine credit, his credit was fine, he passed background checks. You know what this guy did? He was the worst drunk ever, which that you can't really see that on a background check unless he'd been arrested for intoxicating behavior. But he was the worst drunk ever. This guy would get drunk on vodka almost every night or every other night. And not only was he a massive drunk, he was also a very loud and violent drunk. He would flip tables over, he would punch holes in the wall, and he would scream. He would scream all night long, and he didn't even live with anyone. He lived by himself. So he'd punch all the holes in the wall and would just scream all night. And I would be in my bed, he would be right above me, and I would be hearing him screaming and flipping tables. And that's what I literally grew up with. And so, you know, when people say that, like, landlords are scumbags, they're ignoring that there's scumbag tenants like that guy out there. And this guy almost drank himself to death so badly, my dad had to call an ambulance for him. The ambulance took him away because he nearly drank himself to death. And then what actually happened was the second time, a few weeks later, he almost drank himself to death again. And my dad had to call an ambulance for him. And at that point, my dad basically said, "You're done. Get the hell out of here." And the guy actually surprisingly agreed to move out. He didn't cause you know, an argument about that. But that was one, you know, tenant that we had. We had another tenant where it was this, you know, wife and husband. They moved in. They seemed like nice people. There was nothing wrong. And they were an American couple this time. So they weren't, you know, Polish. They were an American couple. And what happened with them is they seemed like nice people. Like there was not going to be any problems. But then when the first month's rent was due, you know what they did? They didn't pay rent at all. They didn't give a reason for it. There was nothing wrong with the unit. The unit was in perfect condition. Nothing wrong with it. But they just refused to pay rent. They didn't want to. And they were scammers. They were basically what? They were scammers. And so what happened was, my parents ended up taking them to court, but because the New York City rent laws were like so stupid, that like my parents had to wait months to take them to court. I think it was like half a year. And so half a year, they were living rent-free in our building. They were living there, taking advantage of us. And just massive scumbags. And then when my parents were finally going to take them to court, they moved out the day before, and we never found them again. And so basically, we lost half a year's of rent from those people because of that. And so are those people not scumbags, too? I hear a lot about the scumbag landlords, but are those people not scumbags, too? You know, people that do stuff like that? And so that's it. And, about my tenants, is I go above and beyond for my tenants. Whenever my tenants need something, I don't delay. I just go there. I get stuff done. Like there have been times, like if you look at if you look at my channel back in like June and July, there have been a few days where I didn't upload in like June and July. And I almost always upload every day something, either a playthrough, lore video, something every day, crazy current events video. But the reason I couldn't upload some of those days in June and July is because I had to help my tenants. Because there were certain things that they needed help with, and I was there, and I hired people, you know, got things done. It's a new building, but there was, you know, a few issues. There was an issue the sink broke. And so I got somebody, we got the sink fixed, I got the sprinklers winterized, I did all of that for them. And also, in my contract with them, I was not responsible for the sprinklers. But even though I wasn't responsible for the sprinklers in my contract, I still did that for them. I paid for it. I had that all done, had it all set up, and I had it explained to them how to use everything and do everything. Did it all of that for them. And I check up on my tenants. I message them, I text them, I'm like, hey, is everything good with the property? Do you guys need help with anything like that? I purchased the air filters for them. I don't have to do that either, but I purchased the air filters. And I've changed the air filters before in the furnace, in the house. But, you know, they want to change their filters on their own now. But I still bought them like a bunch of filters. So I do that for my tenants, so I'm not a scumbag. So yes, you know, they pay me to live in the house because it's my house in the end. I paid for it. But, you know, I'm not ripping them off. I'm not, you know, a scumbag or anything. Whenever they need help with anything, I'm there. So that's just it. So I know there's scumbag landlords that take advantage of their tenants and don't fix things and don't. But I don't do stuff like that. So, you know, not all the tenants. When you're thinking of the scumbag landlords, you're thinking of the guys who own those like multi-million-dollar companies that own like, you know, those big apartment buildings in New York that don't do anything for their tenants. That's the scumbag landlords that you're typically thinking of. I'm just like, you know, I'm just like a single guy. I don't even have a property management company. I just run, you know, all of this on my own, and I try to provide good customer service for my tenants because ultimately it's a business. So that's, you know, that's what I ultimately do. So I just personally, I know I've been talking a little about this, I just don't like this argument that, like, you know, landlords are like parasites or they're scumbags or something like that. And oftentimes, the people who advocate stuff like this, they say that landlords are like, you know, scumbags and parasites. These people oftentimes advocate for government housing. And I'll tell you something, my parents lived under government housing. They lived in Poland. And my parents had my mom's apartment was garbage. If you would have seen what a communist apartment was like, you compare that, if you compare a communist apartment to Poland, and you even compare it to some of the worst apartments in New York, even some of the worst apartments in New York actually look better than the communist apartments that were in Poland. If you've seen that. So, like, you know, and when you lived under government housing, the house didn't actually belong to you. It actually belonged to the government. The government provided you a place to live under communism, sure, but it still belonged to the government. And you were unable to sell it. You weren't able to sell it. And not only that, you couldn't move. In a communist system, you can't move. The government doesn't let you move. You have to stay where you stay. So imagine that. Imagine you live in a bad area, you want to move. The government says, no, you're staying where you're staying, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what it was like in communist Poland. The only time you could move is when you had a permit from the government. You had to get a permit from the government, and you would have to have a job in another town. And then afterwards, they still might not give you an apartment for many years. And even when they do give you an apartment, it's oftentimes garbage. So that's just it. So my house, again, I don't rent out to I don't rent out to working class people. I don't mind renting out to working class people. I have no problem with that. But the house that I had is a 4-bedroom house. So it's eventually I'll probably get a house where I'll probably rent out to working class people. But when I do, I'll be fair to them. I'm not, you know, a scumbag or something like that. So, you know, the people that came into my house to rent out my house, they have their own business. Like I said, they have a roofing business. They're in 3 states. They're in 3 states. They're in 2 states in the Midwest, and then they're also in Montana. So they have businesses in those 3 states. It's a couple. It's a wife and a husband, and they're multi-millionaires. So, you know, they're richer than me, much richer than me. I'm not a millionaire, and so, you know, this whole idea when you're saying that like landlords are taking advantage of tenants, the whole thing just immediately falls apart in itself when I tell them that my tenants make more money than me. So that's just it. They didn't want to buy a house in my town. They wanted to rent because they opened up an office in the town where I live. They expanded their roofing business here, and so that's that. That's ultimately what it's about. So that's just the you know, it just, yeah, it's that. And also I'll tell you this, as a landlord, you know, I'm not happy about rents going up as a landlord. I know other landlords would be happy about rents going up, but I'm not happy about that. The reason I'm not happy about that is because, one, it's bad for the economy. If rents go up, it's typically bad. Something bad is going on with the economy typically when rents go up. So inflation is going up, you know, rent is going up, and, you know, the economy is doing crap. But also, you know, when rent goes up, that doesn't guarantee you necessarily more money, because your tenants could just move out, and your tenants could just say, you know what, I'm going to buy a house at this point. I'm going to get a mortgage on a house, and, you know, why should I rent? So, you know, all the landlords that are celebrating that rent is going up, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's, you know, it's your tenants are going to move out. So that's ultimately what's gonna, you know, that's ultimately what's gonna happen. But you know, I just don't like this argument personally when I hear that like that like, you know, landlords are like these parasites or something like that. I'm not a parasite. I help people. I'm reasonable. I talk to people. I'm not, you know, a scumbag. You know, it's just and it's just honestly, and I'll tell you something. You know, the thing that pisses me off the most about this, literally what I'll say about this. Oh wow. Okay, wait. So I guess I killed all these guys over here. You're selling. Okay, wow. So what I'll tell you what pisses me off the most about this. The number one thing that pisses me off about this is when the people who push this argument, the people who push this argument, they think that the landlord has everything handed to them. They think the landlord grew up rich, they think the landlord grew up in a mansion or a palace or everything like that, and they think the landlord has been handing everything to them. I wasn't handed anything to. I worked for everything that I had, and I paid for my whole house on my own. Nobody helped me. Nobody. I paid for it all on my own. You know, my parents would have probably offered to help me, but I paid for it all on my own. So that was just, that. Again, I didn't mean to slander you. My main point was that landlords buying up the market inflates house prices for the poorest, forcing them to rent for the rest of their lives and lifting the poverty line. Well, look, when I will agree with you that when rich people go into an area and they buy up a ton of property, that doesn't help the poor. It actually makes their lives sometimes worse. I agree with you. I know what gentrification is. What I'm saying is that doesn't apply to me. Because I'm not one of those rich millionaire companies that's coming into a town and, like, buying up, like, tons of condos like Devin Weston in GTA 5. I'm not that person. I'm just a guy who moved into a town and I purchased a house. And I'm renting it out to somebody. That's it. I don't have any... I have very little to any effect on the housing market whatsoever. The people that are affecting the housing market are the large corporations that come in, and these large corporations oftentimes are not even from the areas that I live in. Oftentimes they're actually from New York, they're from Chicago, they're from LA, you know, those places, rich, you know, companies from those places coming into, like, you know, the Midwest, coming into Texas, Florida, these places, and they're purchasing up, you know, tons of property. So it's not somebody like me that has no effect really on the housing market. It's more of the you know, these large corporations that are coming in and gentrifying everything. That's just it. But like I said, and I accept your apology, Ellie, but I worked for everything that I had, and I didn't, you know, I wasn't handed anything like that. I worked for it, and also I'm also a tenant. Also, Ellie, I'm a tenant because even though I own a house, I rent an apartment. I rent a one-bedroom apartment. That's where I live. So even though I own a house, the property that I live on, I don't own. I rent too. So that's ultimately it. And I purchased the house as a business because I wanted to make, you know, some extra money on the side. And so the house, the rent for the house, I'm able to actually pay off my rent at my apartment, and I'm able to have still some money left for groceries. So it helps me out tremendously. So that's buying that house has been a great investment for me and has helped me out a lot. But that's ultimately is I just ultimately don't like that argument about, you know, people think that landlords are like parasites or something like that. If you want, you know, go ahead and slander the large corporations. Go and talk crap about the large corporations that rent out people. I don't care about them. I agree with you. They're scumbags. But like the you know, don't slander the average, like, you know mom and pop shop landlord. That's like, you know, they maybe they own like a house or two, but they're not like you know, billionaires or anything like that. So that's just let me see here. Have I ever been to parties? I have, but I've never been one for parties. I don't mingle. I tend to keep to myself at parties. So that's just I haven't been to a party in years. Do you know the YouTuber? Yes, I know him. The Russian YouTuber. NFKRZ. Yes, I know him. He's a pretty interesting guy. I feel bad for him that he's had to flee his home. He's living in Georgia now. I've seen a bunch of his videos. Interesting guy. The CEO crates make you so much money. Oh yeah, they do. And especially if you sell them in like a populated lobby, you'll make plenty of money. Eric. What do I think of the reveal of crime boss Rock City? Maybe I'll do a video on talking about that. But I'm looking forward to any game that's a competitor to GTA, any game that's like another open world crime game, I'm all for. No, I mean, I don't know PTSD from what exactly reward. That guy, you know, he was in his 20s. As far as I know, he, you know, he seemed like a normal guy. He was when he drank, that's when he had the issues. So that's just ultimately what it was about. I know it's probably a year ago since I recommended them, but what do you think of the Misfits and the Bad Brains? I actually, I don't know much about the music. I think the Misfits are a rock band, right, Jacob? But I don't know what the Bad Brains are. I really apologize. I don't know much about music, because I feel bad that I can't answer your question fully. But I don't know much about a lot of these music artists. Since you're not a soda drinker, have you ever tried unsweetened sparkling carbonated water? It has helped me curb my cravings for soda. Yes, I drink carbonated water. Some people might argue that that's soda. Not really, for me. I like Perrier. I've drank Perrier before. I have no problem with that. And sometimes carbonated water can actually help you if you have like a stomach ache. So it can help you digest and process foods better. So that's, you know, it does have its benefits. Not like soda where it's just full of sugar and all these other chemicals. So it's just, you know, carbonated water is, you know, much healthier than soda. Did you hear that Chicago is going to eliminate cash bail at the start of next year? Yeah, that's a bad idea. That's not going to help. You know, judges at that point are going to have to, they're either going to have to, when they're at arraignment court, that they're either going to have to decide on whether they release the person, or they release the person or they imprison them. And judges are going to be tempted to release them because they don't want to fill up the jails. There was actually a case, there's a case like a week or two ago where this guy was strangling an old woman on the subway. He didn't kill her, she survived, but he was strangling like an old woman on the subway, and he got released from jail. You know, he was told to return to his court date. And they said that guy poses no risk. Like, seriously, he's trying to strangle an old woman on the subway. So, like, yeah, a lot of these prosecutors, they don't know what they're doing, and they're making the situation much worse. I also noticed in the things like the leaks, you can have things like USB drives, immobilizer bypass, lock prices. What are your thoughts on this detail in the game? Well, lock picks. What are you gonna pick exactly? Because there really isn't any locked doors that I can think of, unless it's like a locked car, but you just smash the window in GTA. So it's just immobilizer bypass, lock picks, USB drives. I don't know, David. We'll have to see. I'm looking forward to this update, and I'll have guides on it. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna cover this update in full. I promise. I'll do a bunch of guides on this update when it comes out, so I'll cover the whole update. Jacob, they're both hardcore punk bands. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jacob. I just felt bad that I just wasn't able to answer your question. Is Ellie still here? Okay. I was talking about the GTA 6 leaks, not the update. Oh, I'm sorry then. Then there's gonna, if there's lockpicking in GTA 6, that tells me that there's gonna be, maybe there's gonna be like burglaries are gonna be back. I'd love for burglaries to come back. I heard about that, the Home Depot thing flaming. Yeah, I heard about that. Hey Pro, if the original developers from Volition that developed Saints Row 2 made the Saints Row reboot, it would have been better rival gangs like the Russian Mafias, the Triads, and the Mexican Cartel, right? Honestly, I would have made, like, if I was designing Saints Row, like, if I was designing an actual sequel to Saints Row 2, let's say that Saints Row the 3rd was, like, not canon, and Saints Row 4 is not canon. If I was developing, like, an actual sequel to Saints Row 2, and Saints Row 3, and it was, like, a new city, and it was meant to be like Saints Row 2, the gangs that I would have made in that, I would have made one big biker gang, like an actual, like, a chopper biker gang, like, you know, something like The Lost. I would have made Russian Mafia. And then the last gang, I probably would have made a cartel. So that's how I think you want to diversify it. So, or maybe instead of the cartel, what I would have done is an arms dealing gang. Maybe I would have done something like that, like arms dealers, as like a gang. Maybe something like that would have been, you know, interesting. Hi, how are you? Hope all is well. I read your post about the trade. No offense, they should have let the Marine go instead of Brittany. Well, thank you, Andrea. It was just, you know, it was just a really stupid thing that they did. You know, I'm not saying that they should have just left Brittany there, but, like, that was not an equal trade by any means. Like, it was just, you know, they released one of the most dangerous arms dealers in the world. You know, Putin is laughing at us. It's just, that's, What's the longest you've gone without eating? The longest I've ever gone without eating? Let's see. I have to count the hours. Maybe like close to 15 hours. The longest time that I've ever gone without eating. Close to that. It was when I used to work in retail. I remember there was one day that I worked in retail, and I remember I woke up and I was there most of the day. And I remember I woke up, it was like a midday shift. And so I woke up for like the midday shift. I barely had anything to eat that morning. Just I think I might have just had like a small snack bar, that was it. And then like, you know, and then I finished at like close to midnight. So it was like maybe 12 or 15 hours without eating anything. I skipped my lunch because I wanted to help get something done, and so I was so focused on my tasks that I didn't even get, you know, eat lunch. I guess Ellie is still here. Okay. Let me see here. Yes, I know about that, Imperialist. I think it's called Ramadan. Am I correct on that? Thank you for sponsoring my channel. Yes, I will do I might do a Hell Let Loose stream, but I'm gonna do a Hell Let Loose video, and I'm gonna talk about why I love Hell Let Loose. I've got bots in my Saints Row reboot review. Okay, then, I gotta check that out. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Elden Ring won Game of the Year. Stroke the Rabbit should won also. Sorry that I'm late. Yeah, Stroke the Rabbit Game of the Year. That should, yeah.
Yeah, Stroke the Rabbit Game.
I'm sorry for being in every stream and commenting on every video. Why are you sorry for that? That's fine. Watch whenever you want and comment whenever you want, man. Are you pro-choice or pro-life? I'm not gonna answer this question. This is a political question which I stay away from. I stay away from stuff like this. The only thing that I will say about this is I'm gonna say the people that were pro-choice, a lot of the protesters actually made it worse. Because of the fact when they went to the judge's home, when they went to the judges' homes and they were protesting outside their homes, you can't do something like that. You can't protest outside somebody's home in the middle of the night. You can't just do that. Like, you know, go protest in front of the Supreme Court. Don't go to somebody's home. When you do something like that, you're not helping your cause and you're making it worse. So that's just that's what I'll say about that. Bro, you and other GTA 5 YouTube and Red Dead Redemption 2 YouTube especially are cool. Well, thank you, unnamed symbols. Thanks, man.
Do you want me to start up a bounty right now, or do you want to start up your posse again? Okay.
I think I might go and play a little bit of poker right now.
Okay.
I guess Ellie's still not here. Okay, I was gonna respond also to Ellie, but I guess Ellie's not here anymore. What I was gonna say about to Ellie's response about the landlord thing earlier is I do agree that, like, you know, large corporations coming into an area and, like, buying up a ton of houses to rent, or, like, you know, building up big apartment buildings and condos and gentrifying an area, that doesn't help. That makes it worse. And, you know, and drives up rent, and, you know, it also, you know, kicks a lot of the people out of the poor neighborhoods. I will agree with that. But there's also another thing is, do you know, like, for instance, in New York City, where I grew up, in New York City, I could probably never afford to buy a house in New York City. And, like, I guess maybe eventually one day if I pay off the mortgage, but it's gonna be years and years and years. Here, where I moved to the Midwest, I was actually able to afford a home. And able to, you know, pay it off. And it's just that the prices of the housing are so much more cheaper and so much more affordable. And it's good houses. It's not like, you know, junk, rundown houses. They're good houses. But it's because your dollar here in the Midwest goes at way more than your dollar does in New York. And the reason that your dollar doesn't go that far in New York is for a variety of reasons. One, because there's just so many people and there's such a tight area, and so because of that, rent is going to be just default be expensive, really expensive, because people are all going to be competing over the same area. But also another thing, and this is one thing that people don't talk about. One thing that drives up rent, other than inflation, do you know what that is? It's taxes. Taxes drive up rent. If you look at it, compare the rent in New York. Compare the rent in Florida, for instance. There's two places, right? And you look at both of the places. You see the rent in New York City. I know upstate New York isn't that bad on the rent. I get that, but I'm talking about New York City. If you look at New York City, and you look at Florida, even look at a city like Miami, the rent is going to be way more affordable in Miami. That's like one of the largest city, or one of the largest cities in Florida. It's going to still be more affordable than New York. You know why? Do you know what the reason for that is? Compare the property value. The property value. Look at what the property is valued in New York, and what a similar property like that will be valued in Florida. It's the property taxes. It's the taxes. That's one of it. Is when you have really high property taxes, and you have expensive insurance, what's going to happen is that the landlord is going to throw that onto the tenant. And so the rent by default is just going to be really expensive because of that. So when you have really high property taxes, the rent is going to be, you know, through the roof. When you have really low property taxes, I'm not saying the rent is going to be totally cheap, but it's going to be, you know, much more affordable than if the rent was, you know, the property taxes were just, you know, much higher. So taxation has an effect on it. It does. I agree that, you know, the scumbag, you know, large corporations that come into an area and they purchase up land, I will agree. That doesn't help, and it does drive up rent. But it's, there's also, the government also plays a role in this. If the government decreased property taxes, you would see, I believe that rent would go down. Am I gonna play another Assassin's Creed? I actually want to play Assassin's Creed 1 again. I will, but if I play Assassin's Creed 1, I'll probably have a cosplay outfit for that. But, what I'll say about Assassin's Creed 1 is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. Do you know why I love Assassin's Creed 1 so much? Why it's my favorite one? Is because Assassin's Creed 1, do you know what game Assassin's Creed 1 reminds me a lot of? GTA 4. Reminds me a lot of GTA 4. And, the reason for that is because even though there's two totally different games, it's the dark, gritty atmosphere of both games. Like, GTA 4 is not a happy game by any means. It's a, you know, dark, depressing, like, you know, storyline. And that reminds me a lot of Assassin's Creed 1. Assassin's Creed 1 is like a dark, depressing, like, storyline. Like, Ezio's storyline was more joyful. It had humor. He joked around a lot. Altair wasn't like that. Altair was more of a realist. Like, he was like, if I was to compare Altair to anybody, he'd be Aiden Pierce. Aiden Pierce and Altair are almost the exact same personality. They're very similar to each other. Like, just the way they talk to people, the way they handle things. So it's Altair and Aiden Pierce. And I like characters like Altair and Aiden Pierce. Now, I didn't hate Ezio. I liked them as a character also. But I like the characters that are more, like, realist in their views. Like, you know, Altair and, like Aiden Pierce. You know, these characters, like, people didn't like Aiden Pierce because they said he doesn't make jokes a lot. He's not funny. But Aiden Pierce isn't trying to be funny. You know, he's, his niece got murdered in, like, you know, a brutal car crash that was pretty much his fault. Because he got the mafia after him. So, you know, he's not going to be joyful. He's not going to be making jokes every few minutes like Ezio. or somebody like that. So that's ultimately why I liked Assassin's Creed 1 the most. It was my favorite one because it just had that dark, you know, atmosphere to it. It was the Third Crusade. It was like one of the worst time periods in human history when it was going on.
What the heck?
I mean, go into game chat here, play poker. But that's why I liked Assassin's Creed 1. Assassin's Creed 1 didn't have as many options as, like, you know, Assassin's Creed 2, sure. But I liked it. I liked it, just that dark atmosphere to it, the Third Crusade. I felt like it was the, yeah. I can't believe you said Saints Row 2 is better than GTA, shaking my head. GTA 4 is the best GTA game, hands down. Keep up your great content, bro. Well, GTA 4 is actually my favorite GTA game. But my favorite game overall is Saints Row 2. I'm not saying GTA 4 is a bad game, but it's an amazing game. But I liked Saints Row 2 because Saints Row 2 had so much content to it. So much customization. The economy was great in Saints Row 2. There was so much stuff to buy. Clothes, properties, guns, customization, car upgrades. There was so much stuff to buy in Saints Row 2. And so many activities to do in the game. The map was really unique. It was really cool. That's what I loved about Saints Row 2. The economy was great, and it was also a serious crime game. Like, the story was great, the economy was great. That's what I liked about Saints Row 2. That's why Saints Row 2 is ultimately my favorite game. I think it's the ultimate. I think Saints Row 2 is the best gangster game of all time. I don't think there's a better gangster game than that one. But yeah. You know, I guess Ellie isn't here. I wish that Ellie would have listened to what I said, you know, at this point. But, you know, your problem is not with me. You know, I'm just a small-time landlord. I'm just a guy who, I also rent an apartment. And I own a house that, you know, that I rent out to people, to a family. And my tenants are actually richer than me. So it's like, you know, I'm not the one who's inflating the market. I'm not the one who's responsible for bad housing prices. I have almost no effect on that. You're thinking of the big corporations. That's who your problem is, not with me. I'm not a millionaire or anything like that. Abolish property taxes. It deprives people of generational wealth. Yeah, you know, there are actually a few countries in the world that actually do not have any property tax. Like, I think Georgia is one of those countries. Georgia is a country that has no property tax. Pretty sure it's Georgia. You know, the country that's in the Caucasus. But there are a few countries in the world where there's no property tax, and you technically would own the property completely. Oh man, look at this hand. My god. Why? What's wrong, Mr. Waifu? Thank you, Mike, for that super chat. Pro, we really let the Merchant of Death out, shaking my head. Yeah, it's like I said, the government doesn't know what they're doing. You know, they... Like I said, I'm not saying they should have left Brittany there, but, you know, exchanging her for, you know, one of the worst arms dealers in the world, a guy who's responsible for hundreds, possibly hundreds of deaths, thousands of deaths even. You know, he sold guns to dictators in Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe. When he was finally arrested, he was caught selling, you know, anti-air missiles to FARC, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, which is, you know, a terrorist group. Oh, well, they're in for a treat right now when I put my cards down. Yeah, everyone has pairs, look. Oh, yep, yeah. The only thing that can beat me is a triple at this point. Oh, 2 pairs, 9. Yeah. She's so lucky that she got that 2 there. She is so lucky. I almost had that. I was close. Damn. Do you think GT Online should have more RP features? Yes, it does, Scott. Crazy you mentioned Assassin's Creed 1. I actually beat it 2 weeks ago. It's really good. Very repetitive, but the main story is gritty, and Altair is a very well-written character. Yes, he is. Let me see here. I think I missed the super chat earlier. I think there was something about... Wasn't there something about Kanye West asking me earlier? I think I missed it. I remember there was something like that. I'm gonna check really quick here. Sorry, if I miss anybody's super chat, I'm sorry. Sometimes when I get into telling stories, I just, you know, just keep talking. Yeah, I heard about that, Mario. That's horrible. You know, about what happened to him. Pro, the White Rabbit in GT Online art means that Rockstar is going to implement Stroke the Rabbit minigame. It'll be the best money-making method. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Bunny. That was just, yeah. I pressed X. Yeah, but I heard about what happened to Thomas, Mario. That was just, it's really messed up that people did that to him. Even if you disagree with the guy, you know, just saying that about him is just... Okay, let me see here. Hi, Eric. Okay, okay, let me see here. I don't know if I missed the super chat. Did I? I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss one, because I feel really bad if I miss a super chat. Checking all of them here. Okay. Okay, well, I thought there was a super chat. I saw a comment earlier, somebody asking about Kanye. I guess that's what it was then. I don't know if it was a super chat or not, but you know, I don't. The guy's just stupid. I don't know, you know, what's going through his head a lot of times. So it's yeah, he's a bit ridiculous. I don't know, you know, what he's thinking. Thank you, Easy Does It, for that super chat. Thank you, Imperialist. I beg you, please make a Red Dead Redemption 2 PC mod series. A recent Red Dead Redemption 2 mod adds moonshining to single player. I'd have to get it on PC, but I could possibly do something like that one day, Imperialist. Thank you. And thank you, Hadif Dev, thank you for the super chat. Do you like players who goes crazy while you play with them? No. You know, I don't, oh, I have a pair of twos, okay. You know, I don't like it when people... What do you mean by crazy? Do you mean by crazy you mean killing everybody in the game? Or do you mean, like, screaming and, like, being loud? Or you mean both of them? I've seen Lord of War, yes. You know, the scumbag that they let out of prison is based on that guy. But it's, or no, the character in Lord of War is based on him. Yeah. But yeah, if somebody's screaming, you know, being loud, I typically don't like that, and I actually don't like large parties. I don't like it when there's like, I don't like being in parties that have more than like 7 people, honestly, because there's just too many people talking at once. Everyone's talking over each other. Yeah, I heard about the Iranian protests. You know, I wish the Iranian people well, and I hope that they, you know, eventually get rid of this government. The government in Iran is just, you know, put this down here. Government in Iran is one of the worst human rights violators. Let's see here. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the greatest game ever made. I don't know if Rockstar will ever duplicate that with any future games, especially since Hauser left. I don't know either. Easy. Thank you. How much do you know about electricity development in this time period of Red Dead Redemption 2? I don't know much about it. They're definitely running different currents than they are today. So I don't know much about that, Mr. Waifu. I can tell you all about, like, the history of this time period, but I don't know much about the actual electricity. I'm probably gonna... Yeah, just leave here. Didn't do too well in poker. Yeah, well, there's protests in China right now. People are pissed off at the government. I played Empire of Sin. I actually beat Empire of Sin several times. Probably surprised to hear me that, yeah. I beat Empire of Sin. I wish that Empire of Sin was an open world third-person game, but I didn't mind it either. Yeah. I actually got the trophy in Empire of Sin to, I literally, got the trophy to beat the entire game. Without recruiting any gangsters. Like, it was a hard trophy, but I actually got that trophy. Wait, did I miss George's comment here? I think I read George's comment earlier, but there's no way for me to check membership comments on here. But I'm sorry if I missed your comment, George. I spent like 2 hours fishing. It's so relaxing. Yeah, this game is, you know, a chill game. It's not like, you know, it's not like GTA where somebody's getting blown up every few seconds. Dude, not everything needs to be an open world game. No, I agree with you. I know that, but Empire of Sin already is kind of an open world game. It's an open world strategy game, kind of.
Wow, been a while since
it's
you've been back, hasn't it? So, what are you aiming
I've
for?
always wanted a city, like, you know, a game that's like an open world game that's like set in the 1920s in like Chicago, where he plays like a mafia smuggling alcohol. Always wanted like a game in that time. I think I read George's thing earlier then. The Michael and Trevor lore video, I'm working on it right now. It's gonna come out, I have a GT Online video actually coming out tomorrow, top 5. And, it's gonna be about the update. And, the Trevor and Michael, lore video will be out, it will be out this month. I don't know when, but it'll be out sometime this month. And it'll be perfect, because people are gonna be coming back to GTA 5 anyways, and so they'll probably see it. Oh, I did then, George. Okay. On the Bill Clinton situation? Wait, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Bill Clinton what? Game Awards? I don't know what this is. I don't watch the Game Awards, so I don't know. Well, I guess do you think this new GTA Online DLC was originally supposed to involve Trevor? Maybe. We're gonna have to see, but remember that Stephen Ogg doesn't really want to be known as Trevor anymore. Well, he takes credit for it, but he did talk about it once. Maybe that rude response he gave. You can connect the controller to PC. You'll love the mods. I think all future Rockstar games will be Red Dead Redemption 2 quality, exceeding expectations as usual. Thank you, Imperialist. Kid got arrested at the Game Awards. What? I'm gonna have to literally read an article about this. Maybe I'll do a video on this later. That's weird. But thank you guys for watching. I guess I'm gonna leave off here. Tomorrow we'll have a Godfather 2 part, and we'll have a GTA 5 GTA Online video. So thank you everybody for watching. If you guys like the stream, do drop a like. Bro, since you like the cold, why didn't you move to Alaska? Honestly, Steve, I actually was considering moving to Alaska. I actually did. When I was actually considering moving out of New York, that was actually one of my places that I was actually considering moving to. But the reason I moved to the Midwest and not Alaska, even though I do like the cold, is because I don't care about the cold in Alaska. I know it's, you know, the coldest place in America, but I actually don't care about the cold. Like, I've been outside when it's negative 20, so it's, but I don't care about the cold. The reason I didn't move to Alaska wasn't because of the cold. It was because when you ship something, it takes longer to get up to Alaska. So whenever you're shipping anything from Amazon or anything else, it always takes longer to get to Alaska. And the second reason I didn't move to Alaska is because there are certain things in stores are more expensive because everything has to be shipped up there. So groceries are going to be a bit more expensive. Even though taxes are low in Alaska, it's because everything needs to be shipped up there. It's a little bit more expensive. So that's ultimately why I didn't move to Alaska, because of that. But I guess we'll be going here, guys. Thank you everybody for watching. You missed my comment, Isaiah. Let me see. Every time you make lore videos, crazy current events, or thoughts and opinions, why do you always wear a cowboy hat when you're not playing Red Dead Online? I don't know. I guess it's kind of like the signature thing around my channel. I like wearing it. So, you know, I don't want to... I always want to be dressed up with something when I'm making a video. I don't want to have, like, you know, just regular clothes on. I want to have, you know, some kind of costume on when I'm recording something. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, do drop a like. It does help the channel out a lot. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys, and everyone. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. See you guys.